So, episode 3, LSG podcast, Legendary Sports Group podcast. We have a lot to talk about. The past week, a lot has transpired, and I think the top of the list should be the NBA boycott. So, Max, why don't you run through everyone the timeline on when the Bucks decided not to play versus where we're at today. So, just kind of give everyone a rough timeline of what transpired.
Right. So, as we all know by now, it was another incident that happened this time in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Um, the Jacob Blake shooting from the police officers. He was shot 7 times in the back. Our last update is that he's paralyzed from the waist down. Now that happened on August 23rd. Walking through our timeline, I believe the video went viral the next day. So that Monday, and the world kind of saw it. The players kind of caught wind of it, and it was just a very disturbing video. Like it's the type of video if you see it, and you're not good with handling stuff like that. I know a lot of people that I spoke to, family, friends, they said that they still haven't seen the video because it's disturbing, if we're being honest. Um, so that video goes viral. Obviously, the NBA sees it. The players are distraught. They're upset, fuming, heated. Everything you can describe it by. Wednesday, the Milwaukee Bucks have the first game of the day. They're going to resume the play. They're going to continue the playoffs. Um, they go ahead and make the decision not to play. Now, with that decision, um, I think we've heard from reports that the NBA and the NBA players maybe had a plan put together, but at that time, what I believe is it was very difficult. I mean, it was very difficult for everyone, all of the players, but I think it hit a different place for Milwaukee. I think it hit a different place for the Bucks, being that the shooting was in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and that hit home for them. So I can imagine not wanting to hoop that day, and they made that decision as a team, and we got to respect it. Um, the rest of the teams in the league followed suit. And then we had the start of the boycott. The boycott lasted 2 days. There was heated meetings between NBA staff, NBA players, NBA leaders stepped up. I mean, we heard reports of LeBron maybe talking down on players. I think that was coming from a place of passion with a heavy heart, speaking with emotion. Um, they eventually made the decision to continue the playoffs. So we get the playoffs to resume on Saturday, and here we are. Um, I think we really need to take a step back. First off, like I said before, another tragic incident um, for Jacob Blake and his family, and we need to stop this. Let's be honest. Um, Shabazz, what are your thoughts about the situation?
So what I did wanted to add is why it also hit home for the Bucks is they have two victims of police brutality. Sterling Brown,
Mhm.
he had a run in with the cops where they mistaked him for someone that was claiming to do a robbery. Said he looked like the suspect, even though he pleaded like I'm an NBA player. He got beat. I think he was in the hospital for I want to say a week or two during last season. And also John Henson the police was called on him while he was in a jewelry store. So they have two players on their roster that has have bad run-ins with the law. So per se. So definitely respect what the Bucks did. They set the tone for the rest of the NBA and you know put their put basketball to the side and they were being human beings where I think a lot of people sometimes forget where these are, they're athletes, but at the same time, they have real feelings. They got family members, they're from certain communities, like, so definitely them setting the tone and saying, we're not playing this game. It's stuff bigger than basketball right now. And that rubs, some people the wrong way. So, the so per se, shut up and dribble. But I'm glad that these players, stood up for what they believe in, you know, and that's more important than anything, especially as a man. If you believe in something, you want to stand on it at all costs. Um, and like I saw a lot of legends, like Bill Russell, he was very happy with the players,
Yeah,
and especially per se for him, who he was doing the same thing in 1961, and here we're in 2020, and players are still having to protest for, you know, injustice, social injustice, against minority communities. But I think the NBA, and like I said in previous episodes, Adam Silver, they're doing a great job by getting in front of it, and that's why I think that's why we have a resume. I don't think if it was any other sport that once it stopped, it would get back to going. But Adam Silver, he's willing to listen, he's willing to learn, he's willing to make change, and that's why the NBA is probably ahead of more than any other American sport as far as it comes to that.
for sure. And I think leading into that, I think we can kind of discuss our opinions on whether we agreed for the NBA players to resume the playoffs and continue to play, or some people may have the thought and opinions that they shouldn't have played. So touching on that, I'm glad they resumed it on my end. I think that personally that there's more that can be done. I think Jamal Murray touched base on it after last game where he said, more can be done together, whereas if everyone went back to their hometowns, media-wise, isn't as big of a platform. And, there's more that can be said and done together on TV than, off TV and at home. So I think that resuming the playoffs is probably the best thing they could have done. And, going back to what Max said about, LeBron catching some heat, especially on, the networks of him being hot-headed and saying, well, I'm king, and essentially, not word for word, but,
Yeah.
this is what I think, we should do, and kind of, being the leader at that forefront, but kind of coming off, condescendingly. But I think, that goes to show, and I think when the Bucks decided not to play that same day, the Lakers were scheduled to play. I think they were going to be the third game, and this goes to show how powerful, in my opinion, of an athlete LeBron is compared to any other athlete we possibly could have ever seen before, without a question, in our lifetime. Anyone born in the 80s, 90s, you've never seen a more powerful and more influential athlete than LeBron. I don't think you can even compare him. Michael Jordan was popular, but not powerful. I think there's a huge difference between that. And, you would look at, if you want to talk the NFL for a second, I mean, Tom Brady couldn't even get the organization to give him what he wanted the past couple of years. You go to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers couldn't even get the organization to give him who he needed on his side of the football the past couple of years. Meanwhile, when all this happened, the NBA in whole, the ownership, the commissioner, teams were all looking at LeBron, waiting for LeBron's voice and LeBron's opinion. So the fact the whole league stopped and waited for LeBron to see what he was going to say or do shows how powerful he truly is and how much of an impact he has as an athlete. And, as much criticism as I've given him the past couple weeks, I'm a huge fan. And I seriously don't think in our lifetime we'll ever see a more powerful athlete than LeBron.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just going off your point with LeBron, I feel like a heavy heart brings heavy words, right? So this was a very important, crucial thing to a lot of us. I feel like LeBron felt like it was at the time he felt, still feel like he feels like it's his responsibility, a part of his responsibility, being a leader in this league, to speak up and voice his opinion. He knows a lot of people are following him. A lot of people are looking at him. I know I am. I wanted to hear LeBron speak afterwards, to see what he was going to say about the situation. Um, and like I said, there's just a lot of emotion involved, right? So I think saying that, that's where the the strong opinions, the strong tone maybe came across. Um,
Yeah.
but I think LeBron did it all with good intentions in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was reports that he reached out to him and Chris Paul reached out to Obama, and that just lets you know the seriousness of the situation. I'm sure Obama took that phone call. It's reported he gave them advice, and here we are now playing. Now I'm just going to look at the other side of it. Um, yes, they're playing right now, but if we look at the other side and we really look at what that may have brought, there would have been major implications, major trickle down effect if these players they had the plan in place after the pandemic, the coronavirus, COVID-19. They get down to the bubble. Another situation happens. Now there was already people, Steven Jackson, Kyrie Irving, saying that they shouldn't have went down there, right? Um, for them to decide at this point, all right, we're done. We had enough. Let's go home. That would have affected the sports landscape, right? That would have been major. Now, if they wanted to make a different kind of statement that we've never seen for sure in our lifetime and in decades before that, if they canceled the season, that would have been crazy. I don't know if we would still be obviously right now would still be the ripple effects. It would be like a tidal wave, it'd be like a tsunami, right? That would that would go into all sports, especially American sports, but all sports across the world. So that's the other side of it. Um, they're still playing, so they get to stay there. And I really like in the post game interviews how yes they talk about basketball, but it seems like the reporters do a good job of bringing it back and giving the players a chance to speak without having them bring it up themselves. They ask a question about social justice and these social issues going on right now. Shout out to Jamal Murray, had a hell of a game, another 50-point performance last night. On his sneakers, he had Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. Um, he said that they give him life, which was special. It gave a lot of people chills. Um, and for a lot of people, that interview was just as good as his performance, if not better. So I think I
Yeah.
think that's where we are right now. We'll see what kind of joint projects that the players in the league have. I just want to read off what was brought upon the boycott. Um, Bleacher Report reported they established a social justice coalition featuring reps from players, coaches, and governors. Convert team arenas into voting locations for 2020 general election. I know that the Staples Center sign off on that for sure, and that's big. And then create advertising advertising spots in playoff games that promote civic engagement in local national election. So,
And touching base on that really quick, in terms of voting. So LeBron's whole thing, more than a vote that he started, and then them creating the arenas into voting polls. I think it was Jacoby Brissett and the Indianapolis Colts recently signed up their entire team to be registered voters. So believe it or not, I mean, as much of this stuff we're hearing about, there was a report that 1 out of every 3 NBA players weren't even registered to vote. So this whole thing, they were facing backlash yesterday and earlier today when this report came out that these guys are fighting this, fighting that. Meanwhile, they're not even registered to vote. They haven't been voting. So Jacoby Brissett's actually going to start this chain fire of events through all sports where you're going to see a lot more teams in the next upcoming week or two coming together and registering their entire team and staff to vote, because this whole, everything's been such an issue based on politics and everyone in office where everyone's, fighting, donating money, campaigning. Meanwhile, they're not even registered to vote. So that's kind of going against what they're kind of fighting for, because they're not doing anything on their end. So all these team leaders, and it actually started in the NFL with the Colts, it's going to trickle down and affect sports league and cross. So keep your eyes out. You're going to see a lot more reports coming out soon of entire teams coming together with their staff, making sure that everyone is eligible to vote, because that's step one before anything else.
all right. So yeah, like we said, it's been a wild week. It's been a monumental week. been a historic week. It was the
Sure.
last time we really saw the NBA boycott, an American sports boycott. It's been decades since we saw a world boycott. So um, that just kind of gives a give a gives a feel, gives a vibe of where we are, and it's encouraging to see some of the leaders and our leaders and athletes um, basically stepping up and using their platform, using their voice, like we're trying to do right here. So,
Absolutely.
Brian,
Absolutely. I think, from there, since we are back, since everyone decided to play again, which is great for us as fans, I think, we can talk a little bit about the series that have ended and the series that are still underway. Starting with the East, obviously the Bucks wrapped up the Magic. They won 4-1, and now they're actually in the first round against the Heat. And did they seal it away, Max? You were reading the score. They sealed game one.
he
The Heat.
he just went final. They won. Um, yeah, he just went final. Let me get the
So
score.
Heat. Okay, so
Heat are up
Heat
1-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that really quick. That matchup, I think it's going to be great. I think this is definitely a 6 or 7 game series for sure. Just the physicality and on the defensive end for the Heat. I mean, granted, you really can't. No one can really guard Giannis. Let's just be honest. But in the sense of it being a long series, I think this is a 6 or 7 game series for sure. So I don't know. What do you think, Baz? You're nodding your head over there.
Yeah, I think the Bucks lose.
You think the Bucks lose?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the Bucks lose. I'm just not a fan of Giannis in that team this year. I'm not a believer.
I don't feel like now originally I had picked the Bucks in 7 in the series. Um but I don't feel like the Bucks are coming out the East. I don't feel like they really have enough firepower. There's complete teams top to bottom. There's dynamic duos, and no disrespect to Chris Middleton, he's a good player, but for him to be your second best player and you building a championship roster, that's kind of hard for me to accept.
Yeah,
I think if Giannis was in a, I'm not gonna make an excuse for Giannis because shit, they've been winning 55 games, so they can figure it out, right? So it's
yeah.
up to them.
I
I'm not
definitely think the series is gonna go 6 or 7. I just think if the longer the series is extended, the more it's favorable for the Heat.
Yeah, once
Jimmy,
that defense locks in, they're really
Jimmy, Jimmy.
they held the Bucks to 104 points. I'm looking at the box score right now. Giannis took 12 shots, scored 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. Now,
That's that's a little bit elevated Draymond Green stats. He got to do more than that.
see, you gotta always finds a way to tie, always finds a way to tie in. But hey, Jimmy buckets, 40 points
It's not
on
messing
20
around.
shots. I thought Jimmy wasn't a scorer like that though. That's the heart of Miami. I'm telling you, they gave him the keys, took off. Been chilling with Wade and Ross too much. That's what happens.
I tell you what, though, let's be honest. Giannis got his team all the way here with his second best player being Chris Middleton. So
Now let's not say all the way here like it's the final. You're in the second round.
I understand that, but take Giannis away, they don't even. What do they win? 30 games.
Hey, you MVP.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is back to my point where Giannis makes. Granted, not a great game one, but he makes average and above average players. He puts them in great positions, and he's such an incredible team player. Where, granted, yeah, he's got Brook Lopez is all right. I wouldn't say he's a monster, but he's relying on Chris Middleton to pick up the slack. And what other competing championship teams out there have a Chris Middleton as a second leading scorer? No one. So
if Chris Middleton was their third option, I'd be rolling.
100%.
But I'm gonna just go ahead and say, Giannis, I'm catching Splash Brother vibes with him. that combination will be scary. They can put a package together. If Giannis goes ahead and tells the front office, listen, we had a good run, but y'all not giving me enough.
Mm.
Let me go out there and play with the Splash Brothers. They get the Golden State with their
He
second
needs
pick and Andrew Wiggins and Draymond. They can put something together to go get Giannis. They could do it.
he needs someone. He needs someone.
Draymond
What you gonna
not
do?
worth nothing. You want to know what Draymond Green is? I knew we was going to. I was already pre-planning talking about how trash he is.
Let me hear. I love it. I love it.
He's right over there in that corner. I got him right over there in that corner. You see him?
Was that is that a trash can?
Yeah, it's a trash bag.
Trash bag?
Yep, got him right over there. Trash.
Yo,
can.
next series, man. Next series.
Next series. All right. So we got this. The Celtics obviously advanced. Raptors advanced. They're squaring off against each other in the second round. Celtics actually took game one. Celtics up 1-0. Both teams swept their first rounds. Both won 4-0. Now they met, and Celtics up 1-0. I'm defending champs, but I tell you what, man, I love the Celtics. I love it. They know who they are. They're efficient, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You don't really see them make a ton of mistakes, especially when they're running their offense. I don't know. I love them, man. Max, what do you think? I know you got some opinions on this.
Yo, Brian, do you remember when we were in school, right? And the Celtics were playing New York, and I used to lock myself in the room because there was Celtics fans, and it was Carmelo and the Knicks, and I felt like I was taking on Springfield at that point. That's what I really felt. And then they lost. What was it? 4-1, 4-0.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they got rocked.
At that time, I disliked Boston. I'm not gonna lie to you, but last episode they were my pick to come out the East, and
they're looking good.
I was having a debate a few weeks ago with some Heat fans down here, and a Boston Miami series in the East Finals sounds like fireworks to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Jimmy versus Tatum matchup, yeah, that could be special. Shabazz, what you got?
I think Toronto Celtics is gonna be another long series. Probably gonna take us about 6 or 7 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Siakam Tatum is a good matchup. I really like that matchup. Kemba, Lowry, but Jalen, I think Jalen could be the X factor of what puts them over the Raptors, because that's a tough matchup for VanVleet. Like he might take VanVleet out a couple of those games because Jaylen Brown been playing some terrific defense. Marcus Smart, Hayward, they got some vets over there. And then Brad Stevens, I like him as a coach. I think he's a very good coach.
Yeah, me too.
It's gonna be tough though. The Raptors, they're gonna feel like, man, this is our championship until someone can knock us out. That's how they feel. Like, especially with that chip of, oh y'all, who are y'all without Kawhi? That's been the mantra.
For sure. And I think I brought it up last episode. Like, it's a big year now because now they're relying on Kyle Lowry to be their second leading scorer. So I think that's a huge – it's a totally different Raptors team on the offensive side of the ball because they don't have that many outlets. If one outlet's not working, the other one better work or else they're absolutely fucked. But, yeah, man, I don't know. This is going to be – it's going to be really
Lowry
good.
as your third best player is a really good situation.
For sure. Yeah, it's going to be a really good series.
The more he plays if he doesn't have too much pressure on him, he can play his game. He can be scrappy, hit open shots, draw those charges, hit those steals, tough defense. That's the Lowry. I mean, the Lowry we saw last year played his role. Like y'all said, I think it'll just be interesting.
Yeah.
But Kemba's a tough cover. Cardiac, Connecticut. That boy is different. So
that's probably the last time UConn basketball has been good.
Don't do that. Let's not do that. Come on.
Yeah, we can dive into that another episode. We can probably have a whole episode in UConn basketball.
The Huskies are coming back though.
I tell you what, they got what three top 20 guys,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Bad. What you making that face for?
regular. That's regular
Hey.
in my school. 3 top 20. We giving out one and done every year.
Hey, what? How Carolina do last year though?
Our best player, who your favorite team is gonna pick. So let's go there. You
Nah,
Nick,
they not picking him. They picking Kill Bill.
if you want to pick that French kid over a dog like Cole Anthony, you're gonna regret it, just like you regretting a lot in that franchise.
Listen. You know what? I don't want to smoke. Cole Anthony is New York, so they Cole Anthony versus Killian Hayes. I mean,
Just remember, my guy was projected number 1. He just got hurt. You know, that's the
I
sad
think
thing about injuries.
now to Shabazz's point, I don't know if Killian will step into that fire like that and respond the way Cole would, just knowing the situation and knowing the vibes. We would have to see how a Cole, RJ, and Kevin Knox, if Kevin Knox, hopefully this is his year. I mean, Calipari did warn us, you're getting an 18-year-old kid, so it's going to take some years to develop. Stay patient. So we'll see. We went off into a little Knicks spill in playoff talk, which is crazy.
All right, moving on to the West. We got, we'll start off with Jamal Murray and in the Nuggets Jazz series. 3-3 right now. And I think last episode when they were down, what was it? They were down 3-1, and I think Baz and I were like, I want to say if we go back, we both called this would go to 7. Dude, what's up?
You was riding that Jazz bandwagon.
Listen, my original pick was the Nuggets.
Listen,
I did not know Jamal Murray was gonna go this crazy, but my original pick was the Nuggets. Now, I need nicknames for Jamal Murray, man. I got mine.
What do you got?
I got stuck on auto, man.
Stuck on auto?
Stuck on auto.
That's 3 names for one nickname.
Come on, man.
This might be a Canadian sniper for me.
Canadian sniper?
Sir?
Shit, how many threes he hit
Thanks.
last game?
6 for 11. Am I right?
And
Yeah, he was
just
over 50%, I think.
Just watching Jamal Murray, it's like when he crosses half court, he's in. Yes, he's a point guard, but he's trying to score a rock. Like that move where he kind of scrambled, got the ball back, made a move, and laid it up off the glass, and then he made the I'm nice face. It was like, yeah, I like that one. He anytime you do that before halftime, the other team's in trouble. Let's be honest.
If he didn't have those, I'm just looking up his totals right now. If he didn't have the 14 and 12 point night, he would have had he would have tied almost a record. So in the Jazz series, he averaged. Let's do it right now, really quick, because this is
And before you go, Ryan, while you're getting that information together, Jamal Murray did not play even close to all of the games, all of the seeding games. Like Denver has been hurt.
Correct.
So
he played
catching. To our point, episode 1, coming down to the bubble, they're really like still trying to work their lineup out.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gary Harris just came back. He was their starting shooting guard. Played well for his first game to be back. Like Denver, team for the future. Michael Porter, man.
Whoa. Got a lot. I got some guys.
So he's averaging 35 points a game with a 14 and with a 12-point night, which is unbelievable. If you make those both 30-point nights, that's over 43 points a game he's averaging. If you make those both 30-point nights, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Impressive,
Savage.
man.
Savage.
Impressive.
So I mean,
let's not forget about Mitchell on the other end.
Mm-mm.
But at the end of the day, if we're just looking at the two teams, I think all three of us felt like Denver was just more talented. I think that talent is finally clicking. I think roles are coming into place. Jamal Murray put his foot down as being the guy for Denver. So I think when roles come into place, it's a lot easier to play your game. Low key, I love Jeremy Grant and the progress he's shown. I think pretty soon Paul Millsap is not going to be in the rotation. Just honestly, like they have too many wings, too many athletic bigs.
Yep.
So I like Denver.
All right. I mean, we can move on to the next one. We can go Rocket Thunder. Actually, Rockets are up 3-2, and they finally got Russell Westbrook back for Game 5, even though he only played, I don't know, was it 7-8 minutes? I forgot what it was, something crazy. I mean, they won by 140. So I think that, with Russell back, gives everyone the boost, gives everyone the energy. I think they win by another 20 or 30 for Game 6, so that shouldn't be an issue at all. I got the Rockets just because everyone knows that they're my boys. But I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Shabazz, before you go, right now they're in the second quarter, 27-26. They're winning by one. 10:30 left in the second quarter.
I got Rockets closing it out tonight.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It'll be Rockets.
Rockets Lakers.
Rockets Lakers, bro.
Before they do close it out, what do you think Brody's stat line is tonight?
I don't think he will have to do too much. I think Harden gonna take it personal to put away the Thunder tonight. So I probably look for about 40 from Harden. Russ might have 18 points, something like that. Work the rust off. Continue working the rust off. He knows that next round is go time. There's some guys over there, so he got to be ready for that. So, I think they close it out tonight. Rockets Lakers. Let's do it.
You think?
That's it, baby.
So Harden gets Chris Paul on the island, fourth quarter tonight, and goes crazy.
Yeah, that's a personal kill right there.
Yeah, I can see that.
Got to give Chris Paul credit though, man. Old as he is, with the young dudes that he has, the fact that they even won 2 games,
he did
unbelievable.
He did
unbelievable.
A hell of a job with that team.
Unbelievable. The old leading the blind. I mean, Jesus. Anyways, moving on to the next one. We can go to the Lakers. Obviously, they close it out 4-1. In my opinion, I think that this series was good and bad for the Lakers. I'm going to speak on both sides of this. I think it was good in the sense of they were finally able to get everyone playing together and playing a duration of the game, and kind of, I would say the 9 or 10 games that the Lakers played in the bubble. I mean, LeBron was barely playing 20, 25 minutes, maybe 30 occasionally. So you finally had LeBron playing more minutes, him and AD playing together a lot more. So, in that sense, it was great. In the sense of, I called this in the beginning, it's a fluff game. Trailblazers were absolutely shot, even the first few. And then, so it kind of, gave them a false sense of hope. I just think that we saw the best of the Trailblazers in Game 1, and then from there on out, they were exhausted. Guys were getting banged up, and then finally, when Lillard went out and sprained his knee, that was the end of it. Obviously, their bigs couldn't even keep up with them, so that was no surprise there for me. So I think it's going to hurt them going into the Rocket series.
Yeah, that was child abuse what AD was doing to them boys down there. It ain't even no reason for him to be playing like that.
No, that was
43 points.
Unreal.
Like he was like him and Brown and was doing it from deep that game. Like Brown was 4 for 7. He was like 6. He might have been 6 for 9 or something. Like that's real scary. I don't think teams want that. You don't want AD hitting the 3 at that clip right there because it's
No.
night. It's a long night.
No.
If that means
So
you can't help Bron off the drive. It's a tough matchup, but we're gonna see a good one next round. I promise you that.
Yep, for sure. Max, what do you think? You got any thoughts?
Oh, it has been so hard, man.
Oh, I forgot. Carmelo was on that Trailblazers team.
To be honest with you, I forgot Melo was still in the league. To be completely honest with you, I forgot he plays.
And he was going off. Like he went off like
But
grand finale. Like, all right, I'm going against Bron, 27. See you later, sucker.
but I tell you what, he said he found a home in Portland. He'll be back next year. He
Listen,
said it.
I'm not taking no Melo slander. I'm not doing it. Listen,
It ain't even
Melo.
slander. It ain't even slander at this
They
point.
retire. I'm crying.
We used
taking a day off work, and I need to regroup. But
No, he's not retiring.
Say again.
He'll be back. He's not retiring. He'll be back one more year.
I give him one more year.
Yeah, he'll be back.
All jokes aside, if we're being honest, I mean, Blazers, they weren't going to win the series. They're just if they
Shout out
had
to all you Blazers fans that was jacking y'all was really gonna do something.
shout out to Portland. Shout out to the loyal Blazers fan base for taking me in when Melo signed, you know. But like I said, all jokes aside, Lillard, hell of a year.
Hold on. Are you really jacking that you a Portland Trailblazers fan?
I just said Melo day one. That's not, you know.
Wow.
Listen, Melo go to LA like he should have.
I only know like
He's screaming purple and gold. Ain't no shame about it.
I know my boy Jazz is a Portland fan. He
Shout out to Jazz, you know.
Yo, if you want to get your body right, go to Ed's. He work at the Ed's. You feel me? He get your body.
Nah, facts though. Edge in Connecticut.
You feel me? He do that.
He's going crazy.
He's a Blazer fan, but I ain't even about to get into that with him. Y'all still losing all these years.
Nah, shout out to Dame. Shout out to CJ. I mean, they got some hoopers, but they're in the West. It'll be tough regardless. I don't really see a path for them to really generate enough to come on.
Dame might as well just do it, man. He might as well just do it. Go to LA.
Listen, LeBron, Dame, and AD. Ooh. Yeah.
Well, do it. I know you done said all this. I want to be loyal.
If people want to see it, and the people would understand, Dame.
You want to win. Do you
We
want to
would understand. Brian, would you understand?
Yeah, I mean, I would.
AD Lillard is crazy. I ain't going to lie to you.
But if you just look at the dynamic of that three, just the spacing that adds for AD and LeBron to just go crazy. And if we can take it into, if we have the Rockets advancing, we could just take it into that series. Something real quick. Historically, LeBron versus teams that don't have rim protectors is a bad combination for his opponents. PJ Tucker being the biggest player, or not the biggest player, but their starting center, it's a recipe for disaster. So even if the Lakers want to play small ball and you have Anthony Davis as your small ball five, they're going to the basket. They're going to the basket. It's going to be green light, man.
100%.
I don't see how the Rockets even slow it down, to be honest. All they can hope to do is outscore them, and we've seen historic droughts from the Rockets with their shooting. So that happened in 2 of the games. They lose 4-2.
Agreed.
All right. We'll see.
Mm.
I think the only thing I want to point out, I mean, like I said, I've been bashing LeBron a little bit the past couple weeks, but let's compare aging and time in the NBA to show how special he is. The average superstar, I think Melo is a perfect example on how the
Bro,
average
what are we doing, man?
timeout. I'm giving Melo a compliment.
Okay.
I think Melo is a perfect example on how superstars, I'm giving him a superstar title, how stars age in the NBA, right? So
Get back in the camera, man.
Got a cramp.
he's got a cramp. No, but I mean, you look at, LeBron and Melo are essentially almost the same age. And then you have you have guys like, Melo, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade. I think those are guys who age like they're supposed to. And then you've been watching LeBron these past couple games. I mean, LeBron's almost 36. Dwayne Wade's 38. Obviously, he's retired. Melo's 36, 37.
Yeah.
And those are, you got your guys like Melo playing 20 to 30 minutes roughly, depending on how the games go. And then you got LeBron who could play legit. If you wanted him to, he could play every single minute of every single game. I mean, he's superhuman in the sense of like, this isn't how superstars are supposed to age and continue their career. Like, this dude is something that none of us will ever see again in terms of that. But yeah, I just want to give one little compliment to Melo, but a really big compliment to LeBron, all in the same sentence.
LeBron is a anomaly. Like, no one's supposed to be doing that. Like, obviously the greats like Michael won a championship at 36, but that's like those type of players don't come around often. My favorite player couldn't make like 32 was that was, I knew it was done right there. 32 for my favorite player was, the age of where D Wade really started, slowing down. But LeBron has he might even, I knew this for years, that when LeBron got older, his assists would just go up. Like, he so smart on the court. Like, all right, I might not be as explosive as I was, but I'm always in the right spot, and I'm always going to make the right basketball play. So,
And I tell you what, your boy D Wade, I really wish LeBron played with him, because I don't even consider Dwayne Wade's prime when he played with LeBron. I think Dwayne Wade was a totally different player than the player he was when he was the MVP of the finals when he played with Shaq.
Yes,
I think you're two totally different players.
Even the year before LeBron came, he was scoring champ. So it happens.
This brings up a good discussion, right? Yeah. With LeBron playing so many years at still a high level, being a top player essentially since he entered the league. What year do you feel like was LeBron's best year? Maybe not statistically, but the best version that we've seen of LeBron James.
Oh, man. I don't even want to say.
I'm a Heat fan though, so I'm a bias. That Game 6 LeBron, those 2 years back to back, that was a different type of Bron right there. Mm-hmm. That was like a villain Bron. I don't care what y'all talking about. I'm just, I'm really out here. The way he was playing in Boston in Game 6, I don't think I ever seen LeBron play that ferocious. And he plays like that a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But also, you can have examples like dude was going against Golden State and them going insane. It's a lot. And then Laker LeBron, we might see the best LeBron. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? He might turn into,
So for me, being a huge LeBron fan, I think when he went back to Cleveland in 2016, when he was the unanimous MVP of the finals, I think the last game of the series he dropped 30, 11, and 10 or something crazy like that. But for me, being a huge LeBron fan, watching him play in high school in person when I lived out in Chicago, to following him and being drafted to the Cavaliers. And when he got to Cleveland, the first few years I was frustrated because as a franchise, you're drafting the chosen one. You're drafting arguably the bet. You knew, not only you as a franchise, but you as the league knew that this dude was probably going to be the best player that has been in the league. And you surround him for 6 or 7 years with Big Z and Eldrunas Ilgauskas, which was an absolute joke. So I think that, and it sucks because it was a total waste of LeBron's first 6 or 7 years in the fact of you have the best basketball player, one of the best basketball players in the history of the sport, let alone the league, and you're going to give him no one. So for him to go to Miami, which he deserved to go, and then to see him go back to his hometown and win a chip, and play the way he did in 2016, that for me was my favorite year and his best year in my opinion.
I think that to Brian's point, that Game 7 game when him and Kyrie were being the duo that they were was special to see. Just watching that game, it just felt like.
What game was the double 41s? What game was that?
I want to say that was game
5.
It was later in the
5.
series. It was either 4 or 5. It was 5.
No, that was game 5. That was game 5 because then they went back to.
That might be one of my favorite,
one of my favorite playoff games or finals games ever.
Kyrie, that game, man. Kyrie Irving. That's why it's like, yo, I can't. Kyrie Irving. That's the version. That's the images.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this, man.
That's a lot of people who can't get to that bag.
Dame is a hell of a player. But when Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving come back, slide on down, fella. Slide on down.
It's gonna be a different league.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that series, just what was at stake, him coming back down 3-1 versus a team who won 7 games in the finals.
That's insane.
What do you say? Cleveland, this is for you. He did it, man.
That block, the Kyrie shot,
that was the best play of his career.
That sequence was like.
I watched that play. I watched that highlight so many times. But
I tell you, and that series was a legacy saver for him, and then. LeBron's got a lot of thanking to do to Ray Allen as well. So I think, he can thank Kyrie and he can thank Ray Allen because without those two
other players step up. So.
100%. But I think in terms of his overall win-loss record in the finals,
them those are two shots that have direct impact.
Correct. You have two specific shots that affect a very good majority of his finals record. So
that's it's
a legacy saver.
With Brady, Malcolm Butler's pick is that's a whole changer. But he even has it on the other side, David Tyree don't make that catch
there's you can't play the what if game, but I just think that when the biggest thing for me when I'm comparing Jordan to LeBron is like when Jordan got to the finals, he didn't lose at all. Not once, you know what I mean? So that's how I compare great players. When you're in the biggest spotlight, if you don't lose, you're the best in my eyes. But I think moving on to the last game, and I know Baz is gonna have a lot to say about this because I have my own thoughts on this. But the Clippers Mavericks series just got closed out last night. Clippers won the series 4-2, and I think what everyone's talking about, what we got to touch upon, is the whole Luka versus Morris, little debacle that went on throughout the whole series. It wasn't just the Morris stepping on Luka's bad ankle. It wasn't just the flagrant foul at the end. I think each game, like Luka pointed out, there was John going on, not even back and forth because Luka's not even a trash talker in that sense. It was all Morris pretty much. So I think we got to talk about that, Baz. We're gonna let you go first because you're fired up.
So
first off, I want to highlight, Luka Legend. He played a great series. I think they ran out of gas as a team. Porzingis being out of the series changed the series as well.
For sure.
And I think if Porzingis is not thrown out of game 1, who knows? You know, you don't want to play the what if game, but that's a big variable. But I want to Luka, 31 points per game, 9.8 rebounds, 8.6 assists on 48 field goal percentage, and that's despite suffering an injury in Game 3 that he was subbed out for. Second most points in his first 2 playoff games. Youngest player to have a 40-point trip dub in the playoffs. And the only player since Michael Jordan to have a 40-point performance with a game winner while trailing. So, like, this is a different type of basketball player. Luka is, in my opinion, in a couple years, he's going to be challenging for that crown for the best player in the world.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Max, what do you think?
I agree with everything Shabazz said. Shout out to Luka. Had a hell of a season. Hell of a season. I think 2 things that I want to highlight. Now this is Porzingis' second knee injury. I believe it was a torn meniscus. First time he tore his ACL. Being 7'3", that may be something to focus on moving forward. And everybody knows, maybe not everybody, but Porzingis, my guy. I think him and Luka can be a dynamic duo moving forward. Like if Luka's gonna be, like Shabazz said, that top player, argue or battle for that top player, Porzingis is gonna be his guy. I think they have a special connection.
Yep.
But I just really hope Porzingis stays healthy. It's a little bit different if you're over 7 feet and you start having those lower leg injuries that are starting to build up. So, and he's a great athlete. Which is he has a lot of potential, man. Great shooter, great potential defender, great athlete. I think as he continues to grow and get stronger, Porzingis is going to be a problem. It's going to be a hell of a second option, especially a match with 6'8" point guard like Luka. But second thing, I was watching ESPN, I believe, the other day, and Richard Jefferson made a good point on Marcus Morris and Luka and them going back and forth. He went basically to say that the number one priority in the offseason for the Dallas Mavericks has to be bringing in an enforcer to protect Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. If that enforcer was there, right, Porzingis would not have gotten ejected in that game. That would have been the enforcer job. It wouldn't have been no picking on Luka, even though he didn't back down. I think Luka got the respect of the NBA world in this series. Did his thing, kept balling, kept fighting through bad ankle, like you guys said. But at the end of the day, people have different roles on teams for different reasons, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the Clippers just had too many of those guys to deal with. I don't know who the Mavericks can get to kind of fill that role, but I feel like they get that role. More importantly, another scoring wing, and they're right there, man. They're right there. But they really do need, all jokes aside, like they need a player on the court that's good to protect Luka and Porzingis.
Yep, for sure. And speaking on the Luka Morris little scuffle, everyone's like, oh, did he do it on purpose? Of course he did it on purpose. I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. He didn't, I know he's like, oh, I would never try to injure another player. I mean, you did. So just stop trying to tell everyone that you weren't. And everyone talks about how you can't compare eras. I think you can easily compare eras, and this is a perfect example in the sense of, let's take the first thing I thought about when I was watching one of the games the other day is, everyone talked about how great the Detroit Pistons were in the 90s when they were in 80s when they were playing against Mike and the boys. I mean, they essentially had Isaiah Thomas and then 8 linebackers on that team. Like, they didn't really have that many ballers. So Mike would get tackled, legit tackled. Like, I watched some old Pistons and Bulls clips. And, I mean, Mike would, like, you thought that flagrant on Luka was bad. Like, Mike used to get, like, no joke tackled on almost every single drive in that series during those series. So, there's a lot of people that talk about, especially the young LeBron fans, where, oh, well, Mike couldn't play in this era. I mean, LeBron would get injured in 2 or 3 seasons, if that, maybe 1 or 2, in the 80s. I think it was, this is just the era that we live in where we blow up such a big thing like the Morris and Luka flagrant where, 20 years ago, that was child's play. And I think it's very easy to compare eras. So I just wanted to bring that up where I don't really like when people say, oh, well, you can't compare eras. I think you easily can. And this is a perfect example at something that even if there was social media back then, that wouldn't even be talked about. So
I agree with what B-Max said with that. With the game is definitely less physical now, but I think that's for probably the global marketing of the game,
For sure.
Those changes that were made, we can say it like, like you can't even put your hands on anybody now. Like Mike was going to score 35 a game with hand checking. Not to
Bruises,
say that,
bro.
Some of these guys, of course, like LeBron, those top guys are those top guys. Like they're all time great.
Yeah,
because of
for
their
sure.
skill set. Like if you put a person like Kevin Durant in the 90s, like who's checking him? Like, certain guys are gonna be certain guys.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'll say this. I think now obviously there's better athleticism, but that's just with the evolution of sports and training. Like
For sure.
yeah,
I
like
agree with that.
Michael Jordan might have been the first athlete that like had his own trainer outside of the franchise. You get what I'm saying? Like he went found Tim Grover. Like that wasn't happening before then. Like now, every damn person on the roster had their own trainer. Like,
Right.
so
Right.
Yep.
It's just a part of evolution for sure.
Absolutely.
What you think, Max?
I think real fast before we move in, just 2 perfect examples. If Dallas had a Udonis or David West, there's no picking on Luka. Like that probably could have been solved.
Those are good examples.
Yeah,
David West especially.
Yeah. So who in the league right now would you, before we move on, who would you put in that role for the Mavs?
It's funny you asked that because I'm trying to be realistic and I'm looking at the teams. I don't know.
I'll keep it real. Your boy might be one of the perfect people for that role. His sorry ass.
I was thinking of that. I really was. Draymond. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would be first off both a distraction, for Luka. I mean for Morris and whatever Montrez and Pat Bev. He would just kind of take that responsibility so Luka and Porzingis could just hoop. Like we don't like if we're being honest, Porzingis, we don't need you to be the tough guy. Like Luka, we don't need you to be the tough guy. We need you guys to be the face of the Mavericks. And right now, I mean, they're young. They're before the spot in their run that they get that guy in there. Usually that guy comes later in the run.
They need the modern day 2020 Dennis Rodman is what they need.
Yeah, I just don't know where it comes from, but I think they'll get it.
Dennis have any kids? Do you have any kids coming up, Dennis? How old is Dennis's kids?
Ron Artest does.
Ron Artest does.
Yeah,
Ron Artest does.
Is pretty decent too. Scottie Pippen's kid coming up too.
We got DJ Rodman. DJ Rodman's actually 19 years old, and he plays for Washington State actually in the Pac-12. But he's only 6'6", 210. So I never knew that. All right. Well, speaking Speaking of the Pac-12, I guess we can kind of transition now into the ESPN came out with the top 10 NFL players 25 and under, or it's under 25. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to read them off, and then once I go through the top 10, we can kind of talk about it in general. We won't stop after every player, but I'm just going to go through the top 10 right now. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes, Big Ten. Lamar Jackson, number 2, coming out of the ACC. Deshaun Watson, number 3, coming out of the ACC. Nick Bosa, Max's boy, number 4, coming out of the Big Ten. Number 5, Jamal Adams. I have him a little higher up, but SEC. Chris Godwin, Big Ten. We got Joey Bosa, Big Ten. We got Myles Garrett at number 8, coming out of the SEC. Christian McCaffrey, number 9, coming out of the Pac-12. And then Max dropped all the way to number 10 here. Zeke Elliott, number 10, top 10 players under the age of 25, coming out of the Big Ten. So we can start with Max first. What do you think of the list? How do you think it fares compared to, do you have a few guys that you think should be higher up in the list, or guys that aren't on there that you would like to see?
No, Saquon
was 11. Saquon was 11 or 12.
Is Alvin Kamara 25 or under?
I'll pull up the article now, but
he's got to be. I think with Saquon, a lot of that is his injuries and stuff like that. Because he's definitely a top 10, under 25 talent.
Okay. So hold on, one question. Is that what you think, or is that what you think when you were saying, like the SEC is not the big horse no more?
Hold on, hold on, Shabazz.
Max is up, man. Max is up.
I'm looking at this list, and I'm having a hard time because they have their conferences listed near the names, right? And I only see 2 SEC names.
So are you?
I know. I had to double check real quick.
I only see 2 of them, and was this list in order?
So
that was in order. Top 10.
They're saying Chris Godwin is better than Christian McCaffrey? No, there's no way.
This list is flawed. Like, first off, let's.
They're saying Chris Godwin is better than Joey Bosa, Christian McCaffrey, and Ezekiel Elliott.
Like, that's what if you jacking that.
Hey, that's ESPN for you, but
I don't know how they did that. But
so let me ask you a question.
I see 4 Big Ten, 1, 2, 3, at 5 Big Ten. I see. Now, Shabazz's argument, it's okay. There's a lot of SEC players in the NFL. There's a lot.
Yep.
But it seems like. Wait a minute.
What conference got the most players drafted last draft?
SEC did.
Okay.
In the first 2 rounds.
But we talking it fell off?
Go ahead, Brian. What you think?
Go ahead, Brian. Let me hear what you guys say.
No,
I'll be the judge. Brian's gonna go first, and then Shabazz is gonna get to return.
All right. So collectively, there is a lot more SEC players in the league. A lot more do get drafted. But this just kind of goes I'm trying to pull up the past 10 years and open them up in different windows so I can read them off to you. But I know for a fact when I was looking up earlier, each year, the past 5 to 7 years, their top 10 under 25 list that ESPN comes out with every year. Granted, obviously it is ESPN, so their shit is a little bit flawed. But each year there's a little few less SEC guys in there. This kind of goes back to my point where a lot of guys now coming up, especially playing high school football, know that they don't need to go to Alabama. They don't need to go to LSU. You got guys, especially, the forerunners. You got Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes are your 2 perfect examples. And those are the kids that are, especially at the quarterback level, especially since quarterbacks have become more diverse and you have guys that are playing football at basketball and tennis schools coming out and being top 5 players in the league. And I just think that overall the SEC is losing talent based off of that. not based off of the SEC in general, is worse off than they were because of the SEC, but based off of the fact that A, less kids are playing, B, the kids that are playing know that if they're undersized, and if you're 6'1", 185 versus 6'2", 205, that's the difference between you playing at Washington State and LSU. So these kids now know that I don't necessarily need to play at LSU. I can go play at Washington State. I can go play at Louisville. I can go play for the Big Ten, and still, make it and do better than I would, if I were to go to Bama and sit in the bench for 3 years. So I think that you're seeing a big transition in that aspect, and I do think you're going to start seeing it more and more and more, where all these kids coming out of no-name football schools are going to start shocking the NFL, and it's happened more in the past couple years, and it keeps happening more and more and more than it did 10 and 15 years ago.
Baz, talk to us. You look like you're not buying it at all.
Not in no shape or form am I buying this conversation. So I just want to let you know, the SEC led the nation in the nation's conferences and NFL draft pick for the 14th consecutive year.
Mm-hmm.
The last time the SEC did not finish at top of the conference draft list was 2006, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's keep with the facts. The nation's leading 63 NFL draft picks, second most in SEC history. Let me see. What else do you want to know? Okay. This marks the 6th straight year that 50 different NFL players were drafted from the SEC. So you can have your top 10 under 25 list by ESPN. Who knows who's made this list? A janitor probably had an input on this list from ESPN.
All right. So
For 6 years, Max. For 6 years in a row.
So he has a very fair point. That list is obviously ESPN.
And then
let's
be honest. Let me show some love
very
to
fair.
Ohio State. They can be in the Big Ten. They're not built like a Big Ten school, and you know why. You know what changed Ohio State's recruiting. You know where he came from.
At that pipeline. That's it. That's
okay. So let's not act like Ohio State is a team. Like, there's probably as many. If I'm willing to bet, there's almost as many Florida players on Ohio State as Ohio kids.
Hey, but Ohio State gets them from all over, though. They do.
Everyone does.
But listen,
getting different from all over. Texas,
yeah,
big pipeline.
Big pipe. But not every school can do that. Rutgers can't go to Texas and go get it.
No, you're right.
So listen, I get it. Like, football is becoming widespread, and like Brian said, kids are. You don't have to go to Alabama, but you still want to.
So all right. So I think this is a way better list. This is based off of statistics, and ranging through all positions. But here's the top 10 players. Top 10 players in the NFL last year, 2019, based off of statistics.
Is it under 25?
No. This is just overall. Everyone in the NFL right now, and we're going to go through conferences. Lamar Jackson. We're going to say SEC or not. Lamar Jackson. Nah. Russell Wilson. Nah. Aaron Donald. University of Pitt. Nah. Patrick Mahomes. Nah. Michael Thomas. Nah. Christian McCaffrey. Nah. George Kittle.
Big Ten.
DeAndre Hopkins.
ACC.
Stephen Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore.
SEC.
Derrick Henry. SEC. So you got two out of the top 10 guys in the NFL in terms of statistical leaders in the SEC. That's just another.
I'm gonna judge the situation. Brian, you had a hell of an argument, and my team is Ohio State. But listen, man, put 50 players in the league 6 straight years in the draft. That's ridiculous, man. Football is not like basketball where you have a top-heavy roster. The roster is deep. You need those players to fill out the team, and oftentimes put those teams over the top. Like, there's a lot of D lines that we see full of Alabama players. There's a lot of linebackers we see for the Alabama players. O linemen. Shabazz, what would you let's do this. What would you say the strongest position is for Alabama? I think D line. D line linebacker, I would say.
Yeah, I would go running back too.
They got DBs, they got running backs. It's hard.
Yeah.
But definitely running. I think we still are running back U. I think we still are D line U. Well, we making an argument with the amount of receivers we've been putting out. We just a top draft factory. I think it's like Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, LSU made their like re-entry. Um, Oklahoma. Those are like elite football programs, like blue blood. I think right now in college football, those are the teams that you're going to see in the playoffs. Um, who else? Florida, they're on the brink of being good. Who else in the Big Ten? Penn State always finds a way to blow it against the Ohio State teams. Michigan.
I'm excited to see what Miami can do in the next few years. They got some good talent down here.
Yeah, they gotta stop letting them SEC and Clemson come into their backyard and steal talent. Until then, Miami's never gonna get back to where they want to be.
All right. Well, they got some guys, and definitely got some guys.
2 weeks. Right? Season opener, 2 weeks or 13 days.
Yes, sir.
So, I don't know.
Um,
I think it's gonna be a hell of a year. I mean, especially with the anticipation of no sports being on. I think everyone's gonna have their eyes on Lamar in Baltimore. Everyone's obviously gonna have their eyes on Patrick and them boys over in Kansas City. All the eyes are gonna be down in Tampa. All the eyes are gonna be in Tampa. We're gonna see. Quick.
Baz, go to it. Go to
Where
it.
does Leonard Fournette land?
Hey,
Ooh.
I was on Twitter earlier. Somebody says it's a short drive to Tampa.
Don't do that.
Don't let Brady get
Don't do that. That's too that.
Brian.
I'm just mad at the Jags organization. I think Leonard's an incredible. When I sent you that text the other day, I was just pissed in terms of, I mean, Jacksonville, saying, Patrick Mahomes, don't worry, we don't need you. We got Blake Bortles. But you know who we do need, because we trust Blake. We think Blake's a stud. We're going to take Leonard. What an unbelievable organization. Are you kidding me? You passed up on who they passed up on. They passed up on.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Jags real quick. They're not very good with keeping talent. Like they don't make good decisions. Like you trade Jalen Ramsey, you trade Calais, you just let go of everybody. Like you went to the AFC Championship and you just folded. Like ever since you haven't done anything right.
The DN that just got traded to the Vikings.
You got away, and
Godway.
and that him and Daniel Hunter is gonna be that's tough. That's tough over there. That's tough.
That's a good pickup for him. That's a very good pickup. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see where Fournette goes. I like the Tampa Bay talk. I do.
But I hear he wants to go. He wants to go to LA.
I can see that too. I could definitely see that linking back up with his guy Ramsey.
They need a running back. They just lost Todd.
They need a running back. That fills that void. And then they can kind of get back to the balanced attack that got them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
With a healthy Gurley and
Gurley's
Leonard Fournette's a dog, man.
Gurley's gone.
Huh?
Gurley's gone.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that got them to the championship.
Okay, yeah.
But Fournette's a dog. I'm just looking forward to see where he'll land, and it's gonna be fairly soon. Like, shit, I wouldn't be surprised if they announce it within either tomorrow or the day after, because
Thursday, probably Thursday. I think he'll know
Mm.
something about that.
game season's about to start, so he'll be on a roster for sure
So I think
before the.
speaking of, I don't know why that just came to my mind, but probably everyone's talking about the Ravens and Chiefs and Tampa Bay and Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. I think the player with the bullseye on their back in terms of seeing what they're going to do to respond this year, and I think the player with the most pressure in the entire NFL is Aaron Rodgers. I think with the organization just totally looking the other way, looking into the future when Aaron's had some needs on that side of the ball, especially the past few years, and they haven't given it to him. I think they're looking ahead, and I think a lot of people. I love Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people think he's that dude, and I think this is going to be a year where he, in my opinion, makes an incredible statement and says, "Oh, you guys want Jordan Love? All right, well let me show you what you're missing out on." So I think Aaron Rodgers has especially at his age, probably the most pressure on him this year.
I feel like, how old is Aaron Rodgers? 30 what?
Aaron Rodgers has to be in his mid-30s. I want to say he's 35.
35, 36?
Aaron Rodgers he just turned 36.
Listen, man, I'm going to be honest. I don't think he has the most pressure on him because why is your franchise setting you up for failure? Like you don't provide him with the help that he's asking for or that he clearly needs. You're gonna draft a quarterback. That's the Packers' way though, because this happened with Favre and Aaron Rodgers. But I mean, to that point, I don't think he has the pressure. I think he's gonna play his game. I think we kind of get a sense of his personality at this point.
He'll be in the New Jersey next year.
Say it again.
He'll be in the New Jersey next year.
Yeah, he'll be in the New Jersey. To me, I don't think they're gonna win the Super Bowl. It's really nothing he can do to it. Like we know who Aaron Rodgers is. Like I don't think that he has a ton of pressure on him, especially with your franchise setting you up to basically usher you out the door. Like
he has pressure. You know why? Because people claim him to be the best in the world. So if you're the best in the world, you got to step up.
That was one point I forgot to bring up is everyone always compares Rodgers and Brady, and Rodgers always makes everyone's top 3 or top 5. And we saw what Brady did with little to nothing a couple years in New England.
Done. That argument done, man.
Oh, agreed. I mean, Tom's a GOAT, man, right now. But I think that what I meant by that is every time you turn on ESPN Aaron Rodgers on every commercial. He's on every segment of ESPN, and I know that Stephen A is really high on him. I think he literally calls him that dude, but he gets such
the bad
man. So he gets like such high praise that, not pressure in the sense if he has to prove the organization something, but I think pressure in the sense where he has to show everyone that outside of the organization that all right, they're going to try to come in with Jordan Love and not give me what I need to bring this team another ring. I'm going to show you what I can do with nothing. And I think he just has a chip on his shoulder. So that's going to be a fun team. I think this whole year is going to be great. I think we have a lot of good young guys to keep up with, and I think that the NFL is running into a problem just like the NBA, where there's going to be a ton of young talent and a ton of teams all across the country where, scheduling TV wise, they're going to be like, oh shit, like who should we have on Monday night this week? Who should we have on Sunday night this week? So there's that many dudes to watch, compared to 7, 8, 9 years ago when essentially all you had was, Breeze, Brady, and Aaron Rodgers, and Peyton Manning when he was on his way out. But there was really only 3 or 4 teams that were worth watching, a little less than a decade ago. So I think it's going to be a good year.
For sure.
But
I think let's just provide a little update let's do a scores check before we move on. Right now we have The Rockets up 58-54 with 9:44 left. I think they're kind of behind the pace. They're behind the pace by a lot actually. Um, but Harden has 19, Westbrook has 13, and on the Thunder side, Gallinari has 15, and Shea has 10. Um, but before we go, I think it's extremely important and extremely essential that we touch on a more serious topic. We say rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman, and we say rest in peace to uh, John Tompkins from Georgetown, the coach. John Thompson, um, Chadwick playing his roles in the Black Panther movie, the Jackie Robinson movie. Um, man, just an inspiration for the culture. Definitely did his part in pushing the culture forward. That Black Panther movie inspired an entire generation, right?
Mhm.
Seeing a black superhero on the screen, on the big screen, as well as that movie did, Marvel. And it was a great movie. Um, ABC re-aired it Sunday night to show their respects. And he just has and always will have a lasting effect on the people. Passing from colon cancer, um, had it for 4 years and just kept going. Didn't say too much. Didn't say anything to the public. Didn't let anybody know. Just kind of shows his spirit and what he's all about. Um, but before he went, he made his mark, and he'll never be forgotten. Another legend um, that's gone too soon. Um, man, just tragic. Um, yeah, if you guys want to touch on that.
Yeah, I think my two takeaways from Chadwick would be well, really a few things, but he touched a little bit on when he appeared on HBO's I think they call it The Shop,
Yep.
where they set all those dudes around. So so for him, he explained how when he would get presented these typical black male roles, he would always say no, and I think it's important for kind of everyone to understand why he said no, in the sense of he had such a bigger vision in terms of what he wanted to do and the acting and directing side of things, where Spike Lee and all these dudes would come up to him and be like, oh, Chadwick, I want you to do this, like this is the role, here it is, and he would have to say no, as bad as he wanted to say yes and get the money and get the recognition for the film. That's not what he wanted to do, and those aren't the goals that he had. So he brought up a good point. Like, he's like, sometimes you got to say no to say yes. So he talked about that a little bit, which is really cool. And he went and visited, I forgot what the number of hospitals were, but he went to numerous hospitals especially the last 2 years, in 2019 and then early 2020, before he passed away. And he would go and visit cancer kids in the hospitals. And he would go and talk to kids who had cancer and were battling it. Meanwhile, he was battling it himself and combating everything on social media. Like, oh, have you seen Chadwick lately? He looked, he was getting all those memes and gifs and everything written about him. And he was going to the cancer wings at the hospitals while he was going through it himself. So I think that was kind of like an eye-opening thing. Like, every time you see someone talk about someone that's, you have absolutely no idea what it is that they're dealing with. And I think that's a prime example right there. And then Black Panther, which was kind of crazy, is that came out in 2000 and what do you remember? Was it? I forgot the date.
17?
Date's important. I was gonna say 17, but I could be off.
Let's say 16.
Release date 2018, February 2018. Okay, so that brings up. So last year in our neighborhood, there was a few Italian white kids dressed up as the Black Panther in our neighborhood. And if you like kind of sit back and think about that, that's really it's the first black superhero, but then to have like Chinese kids and black kids dressing up and white kids dressing up as a black superhero. That's something that not only Marvel hasn't seen before, but like no one's seen before. So I think that is, he kind of planted a root there, and we're going to see a lot more black superheroes coming in the future. So
Absolutely.
Shabazz?
So I'd say I think y'all touched everything on Chadwick. So I'll touch up on Coach from John Thompson third. For I saw AI post and AI said, "Coach, thank you for saving my life."
I
So,
saw that when he spoke a couple years ago. Yep.
Yep. So that's definitely like that's a genuine good coach. When you got players of that caliber that feel like that about you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, definitely going to be missed in the college game. Coach. In a era where Georgetown was up top. Like obviously today Georgetown's hasn't been the same, but he had Georgetown as a blue blood in college basketball. Fighting with the UConns, the Carolinas, the Dukes. Like the Syracuses. He was right in the mix with. So for him to elevate that program, even to say Allen Iverson was a Georgetown Hoya,
Mm-hmm.
or Patrick Ewing is a Georgetown Hoya, like he has some high caliber players in the
Yep.
program. So just want to pay my respects to him, and he'd be truly missing the college basketball game. And Black Panther, Wakanda forever. I think, like you said, he changed the culture. It's not about just the black kids,
Yeah.
like Brian said, wanting to be the Black Panther. I think everybody wanted to be the Black Panther. He would show love at a dunk contest. Soccer players doing this pose, like his vibrations felt through the culture in multiple ways. So rest in peace to Chadwick.
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. I want to watch all his movies. The other day I watched 42 when he was Jackie Robinson. I want to watch Black Panther again, but I think I don't know if it was in the shop, but there was another interview I came about, and he was like, typically in TV shows and movies, like whether it's in a superhero movie or not, like the black person's always the villain. And I think that there's a whole deeper talk to this, but this goes in what we're dealing with today, where everything our kids see on TV, the black person either dies first. I mean, not to make a joke about it, but when you watch movies, like the black dudes always are dying first. And then the black people are always the villains, always the bad guys. So the fact that he created a movie where they're a superhero goes down, and it's going to go down in history, and it's going to be talked about for generations.
Absolutely.
I think we need to hold on. Let me follow up with John Tompkins.
His record, by the way, 596 and 239, 596 wins, 239 losses. Unbelievable.
One national title or no national title?
He 3 Final Four appearances, 20 NCAA tournaments. Nah, I don't think he won, to be honest with you.
So the story with the Allen Iverson story, as he broke it down, and you can just see the emotion on his face, was very telling. I think we spoke about it last episodes when we went into the relationship with coach and mentor and father figure, and John Thompson was clearly all three, right? He built those relationships with his players. He gained their trust, and they were able. He was able to get the full potential from them there. For him to take a chance on AI after all of his scholarships were gone after the incident that he had while he was still in high school is special. And then not only for him to take the chance, but be a vital role in keeping him on track and getting him to that next level. That's a great story. But before we go, I just really want to talk on the social media landscape. And where we're at right now, there was a picture of Chadwick when he was sick, and people were saying he was on drugs and stuff like that. I we as people, we really need to take a step back and be humans again. Like, we cut the jokes out, man. Really cut the jokes. Obviously, we didn't know at the time, but if your first thing is to just go to somebody's on drugs and not even look up to understand something, it's just nasty. It's really nasty. Um, and we need to correct it. I had a conversation with somebody earlier, and we see it way too often, right? Everybody's so quick to want to be in on a joke and want to respond, right? We really need to take a step back and slow down and just stop the following and the bandwagon of the jokes. And it's just like, yo, everybody, we don't need to hear all of your thoughts. Like, slow down. Most of the stuff is distasteful anyway. It's a lot of hate being spread on social media. Just stop that. We need to make that a focal point for the end of 2020 to try to end this on a positive note. And after 2020 and moving forward, because that really just didn't sit well with me. It didn't at all.
100% agree.
Closing
100%
remarks, B-Mac?
Closing remarks. So, I think that, obviously we had a lot to talk about, this week, and, we had a lot of bad stuff happening, but I think if we can always end each podcast on a positive note, whether you're watching or listening, put your best foot forward every day, be legendary, and, don't dwell in the past. And, let's get ready for this week. And, episode 4 coming at you in 6 days and 22 hours.
Yes, sir. I'll just say my closing remarks. Sending, just have good vibrations, have high energy. And when you think it's tough, just think of, how grateful you really are. Like, don't think about how stressed you are. Think about how blessed you are. That's something that I want people to, take into their work weeks, whatever you got going on. Don't look at the negatives, look at the positives, and just strive to keep getting better and stay legendary.
100%.
Closing remarks from me. Just following up what the guy said, I think one of the most important things is to continue to improve and continue to get better. Don't necessarily get stuck in be sad and where you may be today, but look forward and prepare where you can get to tomorrow. I think a lot of times, in this area especially, we tend to be sad about things that aren't happening right now, but not understanding the process and the slow grind and slow build. Put in the time, put in the effort, and put in the work. It'll all be worth it. Just keep going. Stay at it, and be legendary, man. At legendary LSG, we made it this name for a reason. We truly believe in it, man. Being legendary, leaving your impact, right? So after we're gone off this earth, people can speak like how Chadwick left his lasting impact, how John Thompson left his lasting impact, how Kobe left his lasting impact. Legendary. That's what we're striving for. Continue to put the work in, day in and day out, and let's get to it, man.
That's it. Oh, hold on really quick. What's up, Mello? Oh, word. Yeah. You're not doing anything this next couple days, week? Yeah, you can come over and watch the rest of the finals and series with me. Yeah, I'm in the podcast right now, so I gotta go. All right.
Yo,
that was just Mello. He's gonna come watch the rest of the playoffs with me. My bad. I told him to wait for this podcast to be over, but anyways.
Before we go, legendary episode 3. It's in the books. All platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, follow, tell a friend, and stay tuned. We have a lot more coming for you guys. And thanks for everybody loving and sharing our content. Keep up the support. Stay legendary.
Absolutely. Till next time.